The discovery of radioactivity is kind of interesting. Radioactivity has always been present on the Earth. It's just that we didn't notice it because you can't see it or feel it. So it was discovered in 1896 by Antoine Henri Becquerel. So there was this glow from uranium-containing crystals. It was a phosphorescence. So these would glow in the dark. And so he's like, well, you know, what's going on with this? Why does this happen? And so his hypothesis was that glow was associated with the emission of X-rays. Now, X-rays are not visible. So what he did is he exposed these crystals to sunlight and then put them on a covered photographic plate, because the photographic plate is sensitive to radiation and X-rays. And so the plate he covered with a black cloth, put the crystals on top, and removed the cloth later, and under the cloth there was a spot where the crystals had been. So something's going on there. So he thought his theory was correct, his hypothesis was correct. He presented the results at the French Academy of Sciences. He later retracted this because he found that a dark exposure spot formed even when the crystals had not been exposed to light and there was no phosphorescence. So these crystals only glowed if it's like one of those glow-in-the-dark shirts or toys where if it's been exposed to light, it will glow in the dark. But if you leave it in the dark for a long time, it stops glowing, right? Well, he found that the dark spot on the film appeared even when the crystals were not glowing. So then he realized there's something else going on. Is the phosphorescence, that glowing in the dark thing, had nothing to do with it. He realized that the crystals themselves were emitting something, and he called these uranic rays because they were urinal crystals that had uranium in them. So Marie Curie worked on this. She was one of the first women in France to pursue doctoral work. So, you know, beyond a regular college degree, graduate work. This was really unusual. And she was looking for other substances that emitted these uranic rays. And so she found two elements that were not known about before. And so back in those days, you know, you discover something, you get to name it. So she called one polonium because she was originally from Poland. And then she called the other radium because it had a really high level of radioactivity. Radium does actually glow in the dark. All radioactive substances do not glow in the dark. That's just kind of this fictional thing. But some of them do. And so radium was used for many years to make glow-in-the-dark watch dials. So people are walking around with radioactive stuff on their wrist because, you know, they didn't know any better. And because she found these uranic rays in other elements, she changed the name from uranic rays, which was specific to uranium, to radioactivity. 1903, the Nobel Prize in Physics was awarded to Becquerel, Marie Curie, and Pierre Curie, her husband, for the discovery of radioactivity. This is a picture of her and her children. And then again in 1911, Marie received the Nobel Prize in Chemistry for discovering polonium and radium. This was a really big deal. Just a little side comment. These early researchers working with radioactivity didn't know that radioactivity was harmful, that it could damage your body. And so they didn't take any precautions, and so most of them died at a fairly early age due to their research. So they really did sacrifice their lives for science.